The story is surely well known. She said, I got home, I was exhausted. Took off my coat, pushed off my shoes, and flopped down into the armchair. And when I woke, I realized I'd been asleep for 3.5 hours. But I felt dreadful. To make matters worse, I remembered several things that I should be doing, I should have done. And now it was too late to do them. Then in came my husband with an accusatory look on his face, not unfamiliar. 5 seconds, that thing that is called a happy marriage unraveled 7 baskets of irritation and resentment. Like Dante in his Divine Comedy, unraveling his story. His story went through hell. Yes, we've all been through such journeys. But eventually he came out of his enclosed anxieties. And do you know what he said? I've said it here several times. He said, we came forth, and once more we saw the stars. Too often we remain enclosed in our inner states, and we never emerge to really see the stars, either literally or metaphorically. But the psalmist that we read of today at Psalm 8, he saw them. And he said in his reverie to his God, when I consider the work of your hands, the moon, the sun, and the stars that you've set in place, I'm full of awe and wonder. But we're too busy. We're too stressed. No time to do anything so pointless as stargazing, for goodness sake. Many of you, I know, spent your early days in the country, or you were brought up in the country, and you'll probably remember the fascination with the stars in the night sky. But those of you who missed that experience, you probably have common ground with many who talk about your star signs, how your stars tell your story, what has been, what will be. You may be a little bit skeptical, but I do know that many of you read your star page every day. Others say it's nonsense. It's nonsense. People with nothing to do. We've no time to be searching around the papers for our star signs. And then I paused myself to note these recent weeks my routine has dramatically changed. I come in here every day, whereas previously I spent my time between 2 places. Now I'm single-minded, as it were. I soon discovered the sense of leaving home at 7 o'clock in the morning, because it would mean that I could get into the city comfortably in less than half an hour, with time to sit for a while. Whereas if I came in later, there'd be no such time to pause. Far from a quiet time, however, when I parked my car in the garage, I'm made aware of the number of other cars arriving in the car park at that time. They have such intensity about the way they drive their car over the speed humps, tires squealing as they round the corner. They park, they grab their coat, they slam their door, and they stride off as if they're very eager to meet their fellow workers, only to find the lift is too slow. The cups at the coffee machine have not been washed. And then you start complaining about the traffic. if it's not the traffic, it was the traffic lights. How utterly stupid to talk about gazing at the stars when there's no time to waste. The intensity of it all. What did Rudyard Kipling write? He said, fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. And so I see this enacted before me every morning. Can our health survive this intensity? The stresses of life invade our lives in different ways. We have our memories. We have our anticipatory anxieties about what's going to happen, pumping into us every morning. We have people walking towards us with swirling currents of anger all around them. Someone jumped our spot in the car park, and we can't let up on it. And eventually you go to your bed in the evening stressed, waking up in the morning feeling as if you've not slept. Do you know this feeling? Oh, yes, you do. And someone here says, hey, you need to stop and see the stars. And you're likely to reply, are you serious? Are you stupid? We have no time to wander around looking at the stars. You can't see them anyway. The coach of St Kilda football team has gone off to India to learn how to relax. It says it in yesterday's paper, if you don't believe me. The coach of a football team. He's gone off to learn how to relax so that he can review his leadership style. Listen to what he said. Now, this is what the paper said. Fearing that his temper was not only hurting his decision-making ability, his temper, but also stunting the information flow into the coach's box, the coach has embarked upon a solitary quest of self-improvement and self-awareness. And this is what the coach himself said. You're not going to get the good information if you're emotional or irrational, and therefore your team around you is walking on eggshells. Do you know this sort of thing? And there is the football coach telling us how to do it. A recent book called Rest, funded by the Wellcome Trust, developed out of a study of 18,000 people in 134 countries. And the book has come out to tell us that work and rest are not the opposing forces that we've often regarded them to be, but they need to be seen in an essential reciprocal relationship. And the book says, as we examine the benefits of rest, we see the need to rest is much more than scratching off a little piece of paper from the daily paper about the stars. It's much more than slumping into your armchair. It is a skill, they say. The book says it is a skill. Of course, we have people talking about mindset, but this is more than that. It's more than just doing the latest fad. He's saying it needs to be a skill, practiced as you would practice learning a musical instrument. Who does that? It needs the attention that you put into your body care every morning. Who does that? So what are the benefits of rest? Several years ago, believe it, about 30 years ago, I came in contact with a therapist overseas who was promoting the idea of the quieting response. The quieting response. I took it over and developed it in several areas of life and therapy. And so I look at the benefits of rest. Number one, the benefit of rest. It has the possibility of quietening the mind. It has the possibility of quietening our emotions. It has the possibility of quietening our healing. It has the possibility of quietening our harmony. It has the possibility of quietening our place in a larger reality. Dr. George Vaillant, professor of psychiatry and psychoanalysis at Harvard, writing about the neuroscience of spirituality, please note, quoted Andrew Newberg's book, Why God Won't Go Away. And he spoke about brain science and the biology of belief, referring to the blending of the self with a larger reality, the quietening of our body and mind so that they become blended with a larger reality. With the practice of resting, there is space. Space develops for illumination and inspiration. If you're open to it, it becomes another benefit of resting mind and body. In my development of what I called contextual therapy and analysis, one aspect was particularly focused on an existential question. That instead of asking, what is the meaning of your life, I discovered it was much more revealing to ask the question, in all the troubles of your life, in all the questions and quarrels of your life, deep down, what do you really want? It was surprising how many people had a confusion about what they wanted. Often they didn't know what they really wanted. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, I want everything, I want that. But not, what do you really want? And the second existential question followed. After we reached a satisfactory answer to the first, what are you doing to bring about? Deep down, what are you doing to bring about what you say deep down you really want? So it's a way of resetting your spiritual compass, listening to your own spiritual attunement, your inner attunement, the development of your spiritual brain. Oh yeah, your spiritual brain. What is the spiritual brain? We think we know something about the physical brain and the mental brain, but we've largely neglected any talk or any thought or any involvement with the spiritual brain. So let's look at it. What is it? It is the core issue of our growth. What are my core values? How do I live them? We're all mixing up with these questions, one way or another. But the benefit of resting, it allows us to focus on our spiritual core, our best identity, our courage to reach out to our best possibilities of being a good human being. Focusing on our spiritual core, we listen to our inner purpose, our connectedness, our expansiveness, from all that is shallow to what is strong and sacred. In one of the best zones of our resting and relaxation, we dream. Do you dream? Some people tell me they don't dream. Oh, yes, they do, but they're switched off their dreaming behavior. Our dreams give us a way of looking at ourselves in a different way. The dream provides a time of transcendence, looking inside ourselves, looking outside ourselves, looking at the world as it is, as it isn't, as it was, as it might be. Unfortunately, sadly, we lose touch with our dream states. We just want to get on with life, don't we? Leave our dreams, get on with it. The dreams remain an undeveloped zone of our existence, not understood, not regarded as a real or an important part of our existence. Our dreams, part of our sleeping state. If we're being serious in this scientific age, why would we avoid or ignore what is so much part of us, our dreams? What is so deeply a fascinating part of the human being? But in the scientific age, we say that's rubbish. Get on with life. Life embraces our dreams. So I've set before you so far how many benefits? 8. The quieting of the brain, the mind, the emotions, the healing, the quietening of harmony, the quietening of a larger reality, in contact with that larger reality, the quietening of illumination and inspiration, the quietening of our spiritual brain, our spiritual core, the quietening of transcendence. Our sculpture is about transcendence, remember. Our mingri is about the same. Different language, different style, different imagery, different symbols. The psalm writer in the Old Testament expanded many aspects of his wisdom. And when he spoke of his God, he was moved to say, when I consider the moon and the stars that you've set in place, I'm filled with awe and wonder. So in our distressful existence, in our discontent, we're likely to say, we don't have time to be staring at the stars. The football coach found time. He sees his work of being a coach as managing his emotions, his impulses, being more successful, being a more affable human being. All of that will be helped by putting the stresses of life in a different context. Now, I dare say he's never been within this church, though we've been talking about that for years. He could have had more wins at football if he'd been here. Stepping away from it all, and what you think is so important, to take time of seeing a different picture, being part of a bigger picture. So what of ourselves? Our health is affected. Our relationships with people affected. Our way of being human affected. Our way of handling our tantrums and tensions and all of that. Like Dante, we all have times of negotiating our pathway through hell. But like Dante, we hold on to that faith, surely, that not only will we come forth once more and see the stars, but we hold on to that important faith that our development as human beings, no matter what our age, our ongoing development of human beings, our spiritual attunement really matter. These give people depth and meaning to their life. in a way that we will live to embrace the greatest gift we've been given. So we search for that vital harmony that is central to a healthy life. It is a well-known part of life that we so easily get drawn into, believing that the stresses that are upon us are the most important things that we need to do. And we compare ourselves with what we once were and what we might be, and we compare ourselves with others. All of these things crowd in upon us. And we need to find our way through those things. We need to find those pathways. And there are many pathways to do that. I wrote the music of that hymn that we've sung from time to time to steady us as we make our pathway through those zones to a more effective sense of relief and rest. And we can carry those through to us into our times of stress. Find a stillness. Hold the stillness. Let the stillness carry me. Find the silence. Hold the silence. Let the silence carry me in the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power. I will find true harmony. Would you please stand? And so we gather around the holy table, a time of quietness, recentering, spiritual, bodily, mental renewal.